How is everybody doing?
Good.
Good,
Good.
good. Jody, you're new, right? Or not new?
I am.
Welcome.
You.
Yeah, where are you, Jody?
Currently in South Carolina. I came to your store about 6 or so years ago. So
Wow.
Yeah.
Were we in the other store, or were we in the new store, new space yet?
Leonardtown,
Yeah, but was it a tiny little store or was it a big store?
it was a tiny store. Yeah.
Yeah. We moved out of that store and now we're moving out of that store.
Whoa,
Wow.
good for you.
Well, happy to have you. Happy to have you. Um, okay, so we are ready to ideally to start our armhole shaping. I guess you're not. That's okay. This is not a race. And as I said, we'll take as much time as we need. But that is sort of where I'm kind of keeping everybody. That's my goal.
Okay.
So I'm sort of trying to keep that on track for folks. And the thing about it is, if you look at your pattern, to start the armhole shaping, you're only at 26 for my size, 26 and a half centimeters.
Mhm.
So that's about 10 inches.
10 inches?
Mhm.
Oh dear. Seriously?
Yeah.
I thought it was like 27.
That's
Mm.
centimeters.
Oh,
Oh,
Did you measure the sample to make sure that's what it actually was?
yeah.
I did not.
How stupid.
Because I'm curious whether they lengthened it or not.
They wouldn't have lengthened it.
They wouldn't have. Okay, good to know.
They would not have lengthened it. Do I still have I still have a sample here. We can look and see. Okay, this does look a little longer.
What size is that one?
I'm not sure. They usually send the second size, as I say, but in many of these,
I measured one of them and it was the larger size.
Okay.
What's the larger size? The third, Denise?
Yes.
But what about the length? The length on the third size is just ever so slightly more.
Yeah, it's usually only about a centimeter.
So what
more.
was that length? Because I already did the armhole increases, so I might have to rip.
Yeah, this is a very large size. This one that I have here is a 46.
Ooh.
And this one has body length of
The one at Vogue Knitting, is
13
that the same
inches.
one?
This is not the one that was at Vogue Knitting.
Wait a
This is
minute. Okay, so how much is it supposed to be?
26 and a half centimeters for the second size.
How about
For
the third size?
I think it's 27.
27
Yes, it is.
centimeters.
27. It goes up a half every size.
Okay, so it's 27 centimeters or 27 inches?
Centimeters, sweetheart.
Centimeters.
27 inches would be enormously long for
Yeah.
armhole.
So
So Ellen, how long do you think the size was that was tried on at Vogue up to the armhole? Because I might rip mine and redo it.
How long do you want it?
I'm long waisted. I'm tall, so that
I'm tall and I am long waisted as well. And I am okay with this being 10 inches because I know that the armhole is
10
relatively
inches?
deep.
No,
relatively big, yeah.
I thought the armholes were fairly very narrow, like 7 or 8 inches. To the neck shaping, it's like, what is it, 11 centimeters? No, it's more than that.
No,
17
Much
centimeters.
more.
Remember,
It's-
this is a drop shoulder. The armhole is not the same as it would be if you had a set-in sleeve. Because the sleeve, the armhole is down here. It's
Mhm.
not up here having to go up over your shoulder.
Right, and the measurements in centimeters, they're not including the increases. So they're missing a whole bunch of lines before that, so it's actually longer than that, than what you're
It's
reading.
longer, it's further down on the arm.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not like a set-in sleeve that's going to have a deep, deep armhole.
you think it's fine to go with the measurement they said? rather
You
than-
know, I think it's probably fine. I'm okay with it being a little cropped myself. If you're not, then make it longer. So we've got, let's see, a total body measurement
total body measurement, which size? Second
for the
size?
second size.
Second size 19 3/4 inches from the shoulder to the
Right,
the
okay.
bottom of the ribbing.
So that's a little bit cropped.
Hmm.
I think that's part of what makes it look a little bit fresh and modern.
Yeah.
You know, now that trousers are high-waisted and, you know, it just, honestly, I feel like I'm wearing these high-waisted jeans that are my favorite pants ever now, and you probably see me wear them all the time. I feel like a lot of the sweaters that I've knitted in the past just feel long and a little frumpy.
Yeah.
With that look. So again, we're knitting this. You know, in Club Crazy for You, it's all about making sweaters that fit you and the way you like it. So we talk about this an awful lot. And similarly here in the knit-along, you get to decide how long you want it.
I'm confused.
What are you confused about, Helen?
So, okay, so the third size should be how long to the armhole?
27, isn't it 26 and a half?
27. Third size 27.
27 centimeters.
And how many inches is that?
It's like 10 3/4 inches.
Yeah,
Oh dear.
10.62.
Okay.
Did you knit too much, Helen?
Oh, I did. Way too much.
We've all done that. I certainly have.
Shoot.
Yeah, it's a thing that happens, and we just have to remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Okay.
great practice.
Right, great practice.
Okay.
Don't beat yourself up about it. How are you doing, Stephanie?
I'm doing pretty well. If you recall, I'm sure you do, my faux pas last week. Well, I decided not to go off-road by myself, so I started over again.
Oh, I knew you
So,
were. I knew you were going to.
so now it looks like that.
Stars, isn't that lovely?
Nice.
I can't
You
believe
know.
how much you did.
Wow. Oh
So,
my gosh.
but thank you all for your support. I appreciate it, but I just don't feel like I have the skill set to go off-road. Yeah,
Oh,
so.
you're doing well though.
Wow. Yeah, you do.
So I'm right, I think, about where I need to be. I'm glad to hear. I did go in to the shop on Friday because I had the same kind of thought as I thought that it felt like it would be a little short. And so I talked to Jenny, and I feel like in my novice brain, this is where I would be adding the length if I want to add a little length. So
Correct.
I verified that with her, and I'm kind of on the fence post, but I might go maybe a little bit longer just because if it is cropped for me, that's not a look that yeah, I don't want to draw attention to my waist. So that's just me. So I'm not going to go terribly long, but it'll be just maybe an inch or two below the waist.
Right. And an inch or two below the waist is, for most of us, cropped. Okay. Remember to think in terms of something that fits you the way you like it,
Right.
and take that total measurement.
Right. Right.
It's
Okay.
sort of like, oh, I don't like negative ease. I don't think negative ease looks good on me, when you realize that everything you wear has negative ease.
Right.
We can't make decisions in a vacuum.
Right. Yeah, I'll do that. Thank you.
What is it my husband says? Operating in a fact-free environment.
Well, and the V-neck design of the cardigan and the vertical look from the buttons is really gonna counter, the effect that you're worried about, I think.
Yep, that's maybe true.
Interesting.
Again, you do you. There's no right or wrong answer here. Everybody gets to do what they want, okay, with their sweater, because it's your sweater.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and do my increases at this point.
Hmm.
So I just wanted to kind of work through that and show you, we talked about how to do the increases last time. I thought I would go ahead and show you the increases that I'm going to do, where I'm going to place them, and all that stuff. Right? Hey, Arca, nice to see you.
Look at Jody's pretty colors.
Where's Jody? Oh, look
Ugh.
at you. She's just rocking it.
Yeah, I'm about halfway up the armholes.
Oh,
Looks
wow.
So here's
Oh.
where
Hmm.
What colors did you choose? It looks like you have bilberry as a background.
I don't know the names of the colors, but basically purple and orange, which I
Yeah.
could never have
It
picked in my
looks-
wildest dreams.
It looks pretty with your hair.
Yeah, thank
It
you.
does.
that-
Um,
190? No, yeah,
you think I can read this?
I know, it's awful. It's just great.
151
Purple. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what I have.
and a coral.
Oh,
Nice. Yeah.
And I really second guessed myself and I bought yellow and I also bought a navy and I was playing with all four. And I decided I really liked the purple and orange, which is like, what
It's
am I going to wear it
awesome.
with? But I really liked it.
It's beautiful.
It's a natural relationship, the purple and orange.
Yeah.
okay.
And
Now, okay. I saw how long hers was.
I
Mine
went to
is that
12
long
inches.
too.
Now
But
she's already
too
done her
long.
armhole, Helen.
I'm
She's
sorry,
halfway
what?
up- She's halfway up her armhole.
Oh, okay.
So here's my armhole.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Oh.
I did 12 inches though, because I know me. I won't wear it if it exposes my tummy.
Exactly. We all
So-
need to do what works for us.
Wow.
And I was
okay.
working the third size. So
Yeah, me too.
Yep. But-
Oh, drat.
Oh, well.
Stupid.
you got to play with the yarn that much though, extra.
What would happen at this point if, I'm sorry, I don't know the name of the person who said they knit too much. If they just did not do, like what would happen to the structure of the sweater if they just didn't do the extra at the armhole
shaping.
and they just did it as if it were a traditional drop sleeve or drop shoulder sweater?
Yeah, that's certainly an idea, Helen. It would be, you would probably want to look at making your sleeve a little taller. So when you have these little armhole extensions, it basically brings the body of your sweater out a little more so that the sleeve starts further down your arm. Okay, so you might have to make the sleeve a little bit longer, and you might have to make the sleeve a little bit wider at the top so that it wasn't too tight at your armhole. But that's certainly something you could do, and that's a really, really good idea, Stephanie. So
Thank
you
you.
wouldn't
Well,
have to.
I'm just trying to understand, I'm trying to get to the next level of trying to understand the structure. And
Right.
so then obviously you would have to make that intentional again on the front pieces by not doing that increase, right?
Correct. Yeah.
A question about that isn't, because they're doing those increases there, isn't it making the body a little bit narrower?
It's not narrowing.
No, the body, and then
narrowing
they
the
bring it
body.
out for the sleeve a little bit.
It allows the body to be narrower while still allowing you to have a portion of a large portion of the sleeve cap formed by the body. You don't
Right, because a lot of times the
sleeve-
drop sleeves are pretty wide and,
right,
okay.
right. So the more you want that sleeve to come down your arm, the wider you have to make the body of the sweater so that you have a whole lot of extra ease in here. So what this is doing is saying, we don't necessarily need you to have that much ease in the body, but we do want this to be a full-on drop shoulder. So we're giving a little bit of extra distance so that you have more of the sleeve that's part of the body,
Interesting.
right? And you can do that, you can manage fit that way a lot. We had in our Ludum cardigan, people were doing it in the opposite direction. So they would have more ease in the body, but less extra up in here. So anyway, that's a thing that certainly can be done. And Helen, if that's something you want to do, that would be fine. You could do that. You could also pick up the number of stitches that you would need for that point. Once you seamed your shoulders, you would mark where you would want your armhole to be and pick up, and you could work in the opposite direction down if you wanted to.
I think, but correct me if I'm wrong, that those increases are in the body. It's not in the arm. Because
Correct.
they have you mark it after you've done the increases. So you're getting about another 3/4 of an inch or an inch in the length before the sleeves actually are there. So it's a little bit longer than you think.
Yeah, but if you look at the total length, if you
Yeah.
look at the schematic and you see the total length,
Right.
yeah, that's irregardless of
Right.
where-
But it's just, there's a little bit more below the armpit with the
Right.
increases.
Yeah, but you have to look at the total length.
So I have
You know
a
what I mean?
question. I have a question about that fit with the extra in the chest area. So of course my swatch gave me 1 gauge and my actual gave me another. And I'm sure I can steam it out so that it fits. But that said, I've been thinking about, okay, what do I do if I need more room in the bust, and I may not need it on the back per se, but in the front. I don't know what I'm even asking, actually. Can I make the larger size on the front and not on the back so that it gives me more chest room?
You can.
Or can I add a stitch? And if so, where do I add these stitches? I say stitches, yes.
So the bust measurement is formed by the size of the garment that you cast on, right? Because it's going straight up.
Right.
Okay. And what size did you decide you were making?
It's second size.
Okay. And you feel like you'll need more ease in the front?
So when I actually measure the second size, it's looking more like it's about a 36. Now that's before blocking, of course, but so I'm thinking, yep, that might need to be a little bit bigger. So I guess the question is, I know I can block it out and stretch the heck out of it. But would it make sense to maybe add some additional fabric in the front?
You mean just make a bigger size in the front?
Bigger size in the front as far as the width goes.
Yeah. Yeah, you could definitely do that, but remember you're going to want to have the number of stitches in your shoulder on both the front and the back be the same.
Okay.
So you're going to have to do something about the extra stitches that you have in the front.
Okay.
Whether that's, some decreases depending on how many extra stitches you put in there, decreases sort of, see, a drop shoulder doesn't really give you a lot of places to do decreases, but you could do some decreases after your armhole. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not the same as when you have a set-in sleeve where you have that
Right.
beautiful place where you can adjust the shoulder width.
Right. So maybe what I would do is in each one of these patterns, or as I'm going with each one of these, pick up a stitch on the, at the end of each, or at the end of the row, pick up a couple stitches.
Do you mean
So,
to add them?
and each, so at each motif, at each 24 row, I mean, I'm already past the 24 and I'm into the middle of this. So maybe I need to just add some stitches at the end of each side
You mean for the fronts?
for the, well, for the back, and then do the same thing for the front. So
Ellen,
Oh, you mean
couldn't,
add stitches
couldn't,
in the back so that you have the same number of
same,
stitches?
correct.
what if,
I
what
see, you
if
could
you
do
use
that.
the front? What if you use the front and instead of worrying about decreasing along the, at the shoulder side, I mean, this is a V-neck, right? Like
Yeah, you could definitely put it
you
in
could,
here.
you could have more decreases, you know, from where the buttons stop up to your shoulder and use that. I mean, that's a huge area you can take reduction in.
Yeah, you could definitely could. You just want to make sure it doesn't go too wide and fall off. You're not narrow in the shoulders, are you, Sue?
No, no, not at all. I'm worried that
Okay.
I don't have enough, actually.
Enough decreases?
No, I'm just worried about that I don't have enough fabric there. So I don't want to wear this thing open necessarily. I would like to be able to button it.
Yeah, no, I think Jenna's right about using your neckline decrease area as well.
Okay.
But if you're taking 2 inches, you know,
Oh, no,
on
I need to
either
add.
side, we need to get the actual number. How much more do you think you need?
Okay. All
Right?
right.
Block your sweater as you have it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, block your piece and see what you can get it to be. You had wanted it to be 20 across?
Yeah,
19
like
across?
38 inches total.
So
So
19 across the
right.
back.
And I'm somewhere around 17 without blocking it. So I know when I block it out, it's going to be larger. I just want to make sure I'm not, you know.
Right. Well, if you're planning on blocking it a solid 2 inches, make sure you give yourself extra length.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, you're going to need that extra length to block it widthwise, because when we pull things widthwise, they shrink lengthwise and vice
Right.
versa.
Okay. That is all excellent information. Thank you. Okay.
Have you decided what you want to do? I mean,
No.
okay.
No, I have not. But I mean, that's why I asked the question, because I put the tape measure on it yesterday and I thought, really? And now that I'm, 6, 7, 8 inches into it, I'm like, okay, this is fun. So, I mean, I'm not too worried about the waist piece of it, but I am worried about the chest piece and getting around that area.
I never thought of you as that busty.
Well, thank God I've lost some. But I was like a 44. I'm a 38.
Dang, look at you.
I know.
The incredible shrinking woman.
Thank goodness. It's only taken me a year and 60 pounds.
Congratulations to you. Yeah, so there are a lot of places that you could do that. It's a little fiddly with the drop shoulder and all of this, but yeah, you could definitely pull some in with the V-neck.
Okay.
And, if you end up needing to make the front another size or a larger size, it's not a crisis.
Okay. Well, I will figure it out. So the best thing though is to add to both sizes. If I'm going to increase in the front, then I should increase in the back and then just do a formula for it.
Or depending on how much, as Jenna says, you can take it out. You could take it out here, but you could also take it out here. I can't remember whether the neckline decreases. I don't have the rest of this pattern here. The neckline decreases start, and do they give you a continue, or do they go all the way up to the neck, to the top? Somebody who has the pattern, look at your neckline decreases. After your neckline decreases, it might say something like continue even until armhole measures or piece measures or whatever.
Okay. I haven't looked that far, which is unfortunate. That's kind of bad.
No, I haven't either. I kind of do it as I go.
You too, and that's really not the way you're supposed to. But
I know. Anything else going on that anybody's upset or concerned about?
Well, when you go through the increases, can you interpret the British language so that we're following it correctly? Like it says,
Okay.
increase 1 stitch at each end of next and following 2 alternate rows. So I think that means 1, 3, and 5.
Next and 2 following alternate rows. So an alternate row is another way of saying every other row or every
Right.
right side row. So you will increase on your next row and then you will work a purl row, and then you'll increase on your next row, and then you'll work a purl row, and then you'll increase on your third right side row. So that would be on your next and 2 following alternate rows.
Okay, so that's what I was thinking, 1, 3, and 5.
Yep,
But
you got
and then it
this.
says, and then following 2 rows, and that one you are going to increase on one of the purl rows.
Yes.
Right, so following 2 rows, then you would have an increase on your purl side and an increase on your knit side,
Okay. All right.
right?
Happy to watch you do it. And did Lena or Lina, did you finish your sweater since you were so far ahead last week?
No. I had more time last week than I did this week, but I'm almost done doing the increases here. So I've
Excellent.
got about another 2 centimeters, I think. And I'm doing the size 2, but I'm doing 16 centimeters because I'm short. So I think 16 will hit better under my armpit. So
Yeah, so that's a solid 10 centimeters. That's a solid 4 inches less than the pattern, correct?
I think the next size, the regular size 2 for the centimeters, I think it's 17.
I mean, did you do, are you talking about how much from cast on to beginning of?
Cast on to the beginning, I did what it calls for.
Okay,
And then for the armhole extension, I'm not going to the 17 mark, I'm going to 16 centimeters.
okay, all right.
Do you
So
think
that really has more to do with like where it fits up here. You want to make sure it
Right.
doesn't get too tight in there. I mean, if you're going to adjust,
maybe I should just keep going and just follow the pattern.
um,
It'll probably be, yeah, I should do that.
I just don't want it to be too tight up in your
Right.
armpit area because
Right.
that's like so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now let's just say you pronounce your name Lena, right?
Lena, yes.
Lena. Yes. Okay. That's what I thought. So just so everybody knows, it's Lena. Yeah, no.
Like it's
important.
spelled.
Your name. It's your name. So if I look at my pattern and I am right here, okay, I'm ready to make this purple stitch. This pink line indicates where the chart begins for my size. So I'm ready to work row 19. All right, so what I have on my needle is 3 camel colored stitches. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a purple stitch above that. All right, my first stitch will then be this purple colored stitch. Does everybody follow how I am getting this? Right, this is the stitch that I'm going to make on this row, and it's going to be a purple stitch. And I am going to, and I'm really happy about that because if I had decided to make it here, it would have been kind of a mess because I would have had an extra, one extra one of these, which kind of would have been okay, but this just makes it easier to increase kind of in the background, in the background color, right? We can look at how to do it in the not background color if we need to, but it's sort of nice if you can do this sort of around row 19 to 24 or 16 or, some row that allows you to have to begin on your background color. So I'm going to work my first stitch in my purple. See, I want to have my increases 2 stitches away from the edge. I may not have the luxury of doing doing increases 2 stitches away from the edge. So I guess I will just have to do it here. And I'm going to do what I said last time, which is a knit front slip back. And this isn't going to be 2 stitches away from the edge. It's just going to be right there on the edge, and it's going to be a pain, and I'm not going to love it. I'm going to give myself a knit, and then I'm going to slip into the back. Let me think about this. I really, really want my increase to be 1 stitch away, 2 stitches away from the edge. You know, I don't want to increase in that first stitch. So let me do this. Let me make my next stitch, and I'll do my increase there. So I'll increase in the next stitch. I'm going to knit that stitch, and then insert my needle through the back and slip that off. So now I have an increase. And if I look at my chart, oh, I hate this. This is not happy.
Ellen,
Yes.
I decided to do M1s, and this, you might tell me this is terribly wrong. And I could pick up the bar of either color.
Yeah.
And I thought, not knowing how to do that, this is correct or not, that took care of a lot of the color changes to make it look better.
Yeah. Right.
So I had the choice of either bar to take, because you're slipping one. I made sure to slip one to the end to have it.
You did have you slipped an extra
I always made sure to carry it to the end, so I would have the choice of either color to do the increase.
Yeah.
And I did it 1 stitch in, which maybe was a mistake, but I did it 1 stitch in because I just felt it was easier to keep the pattern correct.
Right. Well, see, this is where I'm struggling, because I want it 2 stitches in. I want it to be, I want my increase to be 2 stitches in. I don't want my increase to be right here.
Yeah, I have it 1 stitch in, which I'm not thrilled with, but I'll deal with it when I.
Right. It just makes it harder to seam.
Yes, much. But I figured for a few increases.
Yeah.
And the dilemma is also that you're trying to stay in pattern.
Yes. So if I were to do this knit right leg, so if I were to go into this stitch and knit it, that would give me 2 purple stitches. Then I've got 2 purple right there. And I could start my ooh, this keeps slipping out. Then I could just start my beige, right? So if I did an increase, if I knit this one and then I did an increase right there, I would have 2 purple, and then I would just start with my camel color. And I would have 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that would work.
But isn't the camel color, like if you look at the right of your pink bar, isn't this the extra stitch over there camel?
Right here?
I can't see your pattern, but
I'm sorry. Right here? So here's where I am.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you're still purple. Okay, I see what you're doing.
I'm purple there.
Okay.
Yeah, it
But
might have been easier if I'd started here, but I didn't.
But if I were to have hit it, say, and not that I've even cast on yet, but if I were to be on row 18, I would want to increase with the camel color.
Correct.
Okay. So just look to what's going on to that side of the pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
And I'm just looking to see how this is going to be when I go to seam it, because I'm always thinking about how it's going to be when it's seamed.
So are we going to seam between the second and the third?
No, we're always going to seam between the first and the second.
Okay.
This is just going to be kind of icky. See, because I've brought that up. So this is how I sort of think through things, people.
As I'm watching y'all do this and struggle your brains out, I'm wondering if the idea is to have matching patterns at the seam line.
No, the idea is to keep our pattern, keep our stitch, increase our stitch count out this way and keep the chart in pattern.
Okay.
So that if I were to increase right here with a camel color, then I'd have an extra camel stitch, and I don't want that. The most important thing is that the stitch pattern be consistent. I think that's the first priority, is to maintain the stitch pattern, the color work. And the
Right.
second priority is to maintain a nice clean line for seaming.
Okay, so it doesn't matter so much that the seam pattern itself doesn't line up exactly. It's about the pattern, number of stitches and number of color.
Yeah, it should line up in terms horizontally,
Okay,
or vertically. You'll have the same number of rows on the front and the back, but it might not be perfectly even in terms of how the thing seams together. It's supposed to be. I mean, you can look at the chart and see that it's certainly supposed to be. How
okay.
did everybody else who's already there, how did you guys do this? Jody, how did you do your increases?
I did a variety, and I didn't always do it on the, oops, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. You can't, I didn't always do it on the second stitch. Sometimes I did it on the third stitch. I did a variety of increases. I did the one that you showed us last week, but I also, at least in one place, I yarned over with both colors so that on the following row, I was able to work with the right color in pattern.
Okay,
So
so you're
sometimes
winging it as you go as it suits, right?
say that again.
You were winging it. You were doing what
I
the
was-
pattern required based
right.
on the stitch pad. Okay. Did you
Right.
struggle like this? It's definitely fiddly, right?
It's fiddly. And the bottom line is, like I said, it's under the armpit. So it's going to
Oh,
get
that's
seamed.
true.
It's not perfect. Here, I'll show you what mine looks like. Hang on, let me pull needles. So one side looks better than the other. I'll be the first to say it. I just lost my marker. Okay. So this is the prettier side.
Okay.
So the increases, let me pull it out so you can see it a little bit better. So here are the increases right here. So that's pretty close.
Right.
Okay. The other side's not as pretty. And it's going to get seamed up. So between my fingers.
Yeah.
You can see it's a little
Right.
sloppier through there.
Yeah. Like you said, nobody's going to see it.
Right. It's not a spot that's a real problem. I would say whatever you can do to get that increase in there. I mean, you can see it's following the pattern up, and I'm not skipping anything, but I got a little messiness right in here. So it just, whatever felt organic in the section I was in is how I treated it. Sometimes it was on stitch 2, sometimes it was on stitch 3. And I think the last increase I did, I couldn't get what was below to make it look nice with what was coming up above it. So I actually yarned over in one stitch with both colors. And then the following row, the right color fed up into the row that I was going to be working. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
Okay, I'm looking at this, which is the sample sweater.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like their increases were all in the background color, just regardless.
Yep. And I was thinking about that too.
They just did it like an increase in the background color, no matter what.
Then they fixed it the next row. They went back into pattern.
Yes. But
I
Yeah,
didn't have that problem with the M1s.
yeah. But were you right in the second
One
between
stitch
the,
over. I have the seam stitch,
yeah,
and then I made it there.
yeah. So that's my issue with that, is that it goofs up the line that I want for my seam.
So on the sample, are they increasing it on the end seam? I mean, the end stitch, or are they doing one stitch in? Can you tell?
It seemed so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true.
So, Ellen, it's
Yeah.
Stephanie. So
Hi.
wouldn't you want to be like, so you're starting row 19, is that right?
Correct.
So wouldn't you want that first like, wouldn't you want to make your increase be a purple? Because then if you look at the row above that, which
Right.
is going to be where you're coming back, then you have another purple next to it. So
Yes.
so wouldn't the row above where you're making the increase kind of dictate what color you're using? Does that
Yes.
okay.
Yes. So, but my concern, or my issue is, if I want to make my increase in my second stitch, right? If I want to make my increase here, right? I like to make increases 2 stitches away from the edge, but that takes me into my camel colored part.
Could you do like a lifted increase right there into, because if you go to
Yes.
this 2
But
stitches
again,
below, that's
it's
going to be
still, even if I
tan.
go, like, if I take 1 stitch, if I were to put this up here and do a lifted, knit right leg and knit into it, which is okay, not great, but okay, it's still sort of messing with my seam, but I think that's
Good.
probably going to be my best bet. So now I have an extra stitch, but I don't have, so I have now 1, 2, yeah, that would work. So that's what I'm going to do this time, is I'm going to do a lifted increase right here. I'm going to I'm not going to go 2 rows down. I'm going to go 1 row down on the stitch that's upcoming, and I'm going to knit into that, just like a coconut's increase that you would do at the end, right? Knit right leg. So that stitch doesn't count because it's not part of the pattern. It's from the row below. And then I can go ahead and continue to work in pattern. Okay. This shouldn't have been this hard.
When you go on the next row, though, you're going to have an extra block that's not there on the pattern. So
Correct. And that's what we have to do. I mean,
okay,
that's kind of the easy part. That's
just
the, whoops.
just adjust to the pattern.
Right. Sort of mark that we're actually here now. Right? Instead of me being on this pink line, can you see me? So instead of me starting here, I'm actually going to start here. And then on the next one, I'm going to start 1 more over. So this is the increase that I'm doing on this row. I'm going to be starting here and then we'll continue on. And that's why I'll need another piece of that.
Okay, so Ellen, what is the big deal about not increasing on the end stitch? So what?
Well, it makes your seaming difficult.
Well, seaming's always difficult.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, it is.
Only if you don't have a nice clean place for your seam. And that's why people hate seaming, is they've always increased in the first and last stitches and they've messed up the column where they're supposed to put their seam and they think seaming is hard. Everybody who is good at seaming, raise your hand. Everybody who is comfortable with seaming, raise your hand. All right?
Because of you.
But you know that as I always say in my finishing classes, good seaming starts in the knitting. It starts with placing your increases away from the edge so you have a nice trough to put your seam in. If you don't, you're going to be cursing and pulling out your hair. That's what makes seaming hard. It's not preparing for it in the knitting. No. Okay. All right. That's what I'm going to do for this one. I'm going to do a lifted increase in the second stitch in the right leg of the second stitch. So I'll go down one row and pick that up. Okay, that's what I'm doing this time. What I do next time, I'll tell you when I get to the end of the row. Ah, Lord have mercy. You know, and I'm a reasonably smart individual and a really good knitter, but color work is humbling.
Yes.
That is. Ellen, I'm doing the size 2 as well, and I also started at the number 19. So I did my
Okay.
starting at 19.
Yes.
I didn't do what you told us not to do, which is start at the first. So I usually started at the second one in, and I don't know if maybe I started the third one in on other rows, but it worked out somehow. I have no idea how.
So how did you do that, sweetheart? Tell me what you did, because you're on row 19 just like I am, or you
Right.
were, and you had one purple and
Right.
then one camel. What kind of increase did you do and where did you put it?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so on 19, there was I see one purple. So there are 4 purples that you're knitting, correct?
No, there's only one purple that you're knitting.
Right, you're adding one and then you're doing
No,
3.
there's one at the beginning of the row,
Yes.
and then you're trying to add one that
Oh, I
row.
see it. Okay, 1. I don't remember what I did.
I know, we probably just blocked it out of our
I
mind.
know. I don't think it's going to be perfect.
It's not going to be perfect. And you know what? I'm done with perfect. Perfect is overrated. I want to get it done.
It seems to have worked though. So I increased on rows 19, 21, 23. So that was wrong. And then I did it again on 1 and 2.
Okay, great.
So I ended on a right side row when it's set to end on a wrong side row, but I don't think that matters.
So if you're doing 1 on a right side, 2 on a right side, 3 on a right side, then 4 on a wrong side, your 4th increase on a wrong side, and your 5th increase on a right side, it tells you to end with the wrong side row.
No, 4th increase was on a wrong side, sorry, row 1.
Right, 4th would be on a wrong side, on
a right side as
you're
well.
doing it.
So I did another alternate where I should have gone just 2.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't think that's a crisis.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
getting ready to go hold a prayer vigil for y'all.
Thank you. We could
I
use it.
noticed you drank a couple of glasses of wine before.
This hurts my head so bad I can't. But I want to hear what's being said. So but yes, I do have to drink when I'm watching.
Ellen, is that something that like if later it's bothering you that you can go back and like do a duplicate stitch over it too? Like you could
Probably.
just kind of do whatever.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Because I kind of just did whatever. I figured as long as I ended up in the same pattern, I was good.
I guarantee you I am overthinking this. 100% overthinking this. I am certain of it.
Why?
I don't know why.
Oh,
Because I'm not a perfectionist, but I do really, really care about the finishing. And I have 2 conflicting priorities here. And one is placing my increases such that they are preparing me for good finishing and keeping my
oh shoot.
motif, right? So if I have those two priorities and they are mutually exclusive, that causes me stress.
Time to drink.
Can you imagine? I cannot even imagine drinking with this project. After, maybe.
I wanted to show Carol my colors because she had asked the other week.
Yeah,
Ooh.
very
Try to go with the bright-
pretty.
Oh, that's lovely.
Woo!
Very fun.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Wow.
That's pretty, Joe.
Yeah,
Different.
good choice.
Did
I
you not
love-
do ribbing?
No, I'm gonna do that later because I have 2 balls of the blue color that are different dye lot. So I'm gonna use that for the ribbing, but I also want to make the ribbing longer.
Mm-hmm.
I decided to do a provisional and I'll figure it out later.
That works.
And you can do that for the people that don't want the crop, right? They could do a longer ribbing. Yeah,
If they put on a provisional cast on.
yeah, that's true. I'm short-waisted, so I hope it'll just work itself out.
I think it's going to be just fine. I mean,
Yeah.
I think these are all going to be just fine. As I said, you know, we've all done something a little bit different. Erica, you were in when Whitney was working, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She helped me with a shawl that had
Yeah.
like a giant hole in it. I don't know how it got it.
So frustrating.
Well, and it was in 2x2 rib and near the edge. So it was extra challenging.
Extra
And
spicy.
I'm like, you know what? I give up. I'm gonna go get help. Yeah, no, I found this is actually kind of similar to knitting stripes in that it's kind of just like, okay, just one more row to just kind of see what it looks like. And
Ellen, can I ask about the next step?
Oh God, yes.
I think I'll get there this week or in the next couple of days, but it says keeping pattern correct, cast off 7, whatever number of stitches at the beginning of the next 4 rows. How should we cast off?
And we're going to bind off in stockinette. And remember that the stitches that you bind off with are going to get caught up in your seam. So you just want to have, it's just not going to be a big deal. I mean, you just want to make sure that the stitches that you, the yarn colors that you need for after you've bound off, like you could bind off in one color. You don't have to bind off in pattern.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But won't you need the color for the next row possibly that you didn't use?
Yes, you'll have to bring that up.
You have to carry it with you.
Yes, you'll have to carry it with you. And I will tell you that the bind off up here at the shoulder, I think I was showing Jenna last time or the first time. It kind of looks not so great. Here's so here's the bind off, the seam at the shoulder. Right? Nothing matches.
Right.
And honestly, I think it would probably look best if you just sort of worked that last bit in the dark color rather than trying to work any pattern stitch up there, you know?
That makes sense.
Because
Yep.
this to me looks a lot better than this,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
So Donna, that's what you were asking, if they were going to match up later, and they don't.
This is at the shoulder, it's not
Yep.
going to match up, and the sides aren't going to match up either.
Mm-hmm. Which is fine.
Yeah, it's going to have to be. It's just going to have to be peachy. Well, as I said, this has been extremely humbling, which is good.
Ellen, I'm gonna scoot too, but do we have
Okay.
a place where we're trying to potentially
I-
get to next week?
I think if we could get through these armhole shapings and finish the armhole and be ready for our shoulder shaping, that would be good. I mean, you're well beyond this, aren't you, darling?
Yep, I probably will get the back finish between now and next weekend.
Yeah.
But I was just curious.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just sort of thinking what's a nice sort of relaxed pace
Mhm.
for us. I mean, I don't think this is pushing anybody beyond their limits.
No.
I mean, we have to do the fronts, and can promise you I'm not doing the fronts simultaneously. I will do them one at a time,
Agreed.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I don't want
Yeah.
4 balls of color.
no,
Oh,
God, no.
stars, no, it sounds horrible. Gives me a rash thinking about it.
Yeah.
I looked on Ravelry. There's a couple of projects in process posted, and somebody
Yeah.
did the 2 fronts with a steek down the middle. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
That's what I plan on doing. I plan on steeking it. Yep.
The whole thing, or are you just gonna do it in the round?
Steek it to the point to where the V's, to where we start decreasing.
Oh, okay.
I've never
Yeah.
done that.
You could decrease and have this steek in there. You can still keep that.
Well, not for the V-neck part, right?
You can do
So
that.
Yeah, you could do it.
how much of the V-neck is there? Where's my
You're
foot?
shaping exactly the same way, and then you just cut it. It's just that the fabric goes like this.
Yeah, it won't lay flat as easily, but it'll
Oh,
work.
that's true. I could, couldn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
How do you think those Norwegian women do it? They do it.
They didn't do this, I'll tell you that much.
Fucking
No.
know they didn't. It's ridiculous.
No, they just did it in the ground. They did it in the round, and then they steeped the armholes.
They steeped everything they could. They only did it in
Yep.
the round.
Yep.
So
Yep.
Peruvian knitters purl everything. They do like the Portuguese knitting with the yarn around their neck, and they flip it with their thumb, and everything is done from the inside out.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
What's
that interesting?
what's staking?
It's adding extra stitches to the center of your fabric so you can cut it so that you're working in the round, and then you cut up the center of your fabric, and you have these 4 or 6 extra stitches that end up turning to the inside to make like a little placket on your sweater.
I have one.
Oh,
I have
sure.
one that I've knit up and haven't cut if you want me to pull it out.
Yeah, that would be great. We'd love to see.
I have a teapot that I did with the Row and Connect class, and we steeped it, and we picked up and crocheted edges and then cut. It was great fun. I enjoyed it.
Anything that requires cutting something you've knit makes me have hives.
I hear
That's
you.
ju-
Most people feel that way.
That's just kind of scary. That's like when we talked about cutting the bottom off of something and doing it. You remember when we had that conversation in the
Mhm.
club way back? I'm like, okay, y'all can cut, but scissors don't need to go near anything I've knit.
But once you've
Spinach.
done it, you'll get more comfortable.
I've never done it. I would love to do it.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, I did a whole sweater in it, and it made, but you have to do it with sticky yarn.
Yeah, felted tweed is
It's perfect.
perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Felted tweed is perfect for it.
I'm
It's a
still too
really
new.
fun
I'm
one.
terrified. That just sounds terrifying.
Well, then start with what Denise was saying, like a teapot something or
A
whatever.
tea cozy, yeah.
Yeah.
Start with nothing.
Yeah,
Start
just,
with swatch and just cut and see what happens.
that's a
You
good
know,
point.
Just
Yeah.
cut your fabric. Take some old yarn you don't care about and knit yourself a swatch and cut it and see what happens. Right? Because
Yeah.
it's not going to fall apart depending on the yarn. It's not going to fall apart because it's sort of sticky. You typically do it with a not superwash wool. You typically do it with like a woolen spun, and it's going to kind of grab to each other, and it's just not going to fall apart. And I think it's a good exercise. Everybody should do it at least once, maybe twice if you like it.
Well, it's like tinking when you try to undo it and it's all sticking together.
Yeah, very unhappy.
I promise I'll find it next week. I'm not going to go to it today.
Okay. Well,
I
thank
actually, it was a sweater I knit like 5 years ago. I did 2 of them, steeked them, didn't cut them because I couldn't decide how I wanted to finish them. Cutting it didn't bother me, but what I finally decided to do was I needle felted this extra stitches. So when you cut it, they're already locked in.
That's smart.
But then I didn't know what I wanted to face the cut edge with. So I have a friend who's a seamstress, and she hand tacked ribbon for me on one of them. The other one has not yet been cut. I can
Okay.
show you the one that she finished if you want to see that.
Sure.
That I know exactly where it is. Hang on one sec. So this is the one that was finished. Here's my color work.
That's beautiful.
Ooh, pretty.
Very pretty.
The inside,
Look at that.
Wow.
and
Wow,
then this is the wonderful ribbon she hand tacked for me.
nice.
Wow.
Right.
Oh, and you've got a little extra bulk through here, but the ribbon, the grow green ribbon, helps keep it tacked.
Now,
And
how did
she,
you get the ribbing on there on the edge? Did you pick that up after the thing was tacked? After the ribbon? was on
no,
there?
I needle felted.
Oh, I see.
I cut and then I picked up and did the ribbing.
Mhm.
What does
And then
no-
I had that
Lovely.
felted edge, which you can actually see just a hair of how it
Mhm.
was felted right in there.
Yeah.
Very clever.
But she did a really nice job hand tacking it because I didn't
Beautiful.
want it to show through on the other side.
Yeah.
And I do have buttonholes, and I've not yet sewn buttons on it because I've been wearing it without the buttons.
I think that's fun.
But the other thing about this is this one actually wanted you to do pocket linings that were steeked. And I'm like, yeah, no. So I have it's a solid pocket lining.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's
So
the designer? That Jeanette person or Jennifer person?
I don't remember because I actually knit this probably 6 or 7 years ago, and I finally cut it and had it finished for me in the last 6 months. So I finally got to wear it. It's been cold enough in South Carolina. I have to work tomorrow, so I'm heading out.
Okay. Well, nice
was
to
nice
see you,
meeting
Jody.
you.
Thank you.
I'll catch up with the replay too.
But yeah, absolutely. So very nice to see you. I'm glad you could join us.
Nice to meet everybody.
Nice
Nice
to
to
meet
meet
you.
you, Jody.
Bye.
See you
Bye,
later.
Bob.
Bye.
Lena, did you knit your sweater?
Oh, this one? No,
Uh-huh.
no. I love this sweater though. My sister just sent it to me.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, she lives.
Love that blue.
She works for Eileen Fisher. She's one of the buyers for Eileen Fisher, and she's like upper management up in Seattle. I'm in Chicago, and so she has 15 years worth of clothes that she gets from Eileen,
Oh,
and she
wow.
gave me a big box of just a bunch of sweaters that she didn't want anymore. So she said she's got 11 more boxes in her house, and she's just going to start sending them to me. So I
Excellent.
very much appreciated it.
Wow.
Classic. Yeah.
That's a big old Christmas.
I know. I shared some with my daughters too, so they were very happy.
That's
How many
nice.
daughters do you have?
I have three
Daughters.
Oh,
daughters and 3 sons.
wow.
Great.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
2 more to go in college. So Ellen, I'm there with you. I know college boys.
Yeah. It was a big deal when my youngest graduated from college because I'd had a kid in college with 4 kids. Boom, 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 and instead of twins. There's a lot of
I had
college.
2 sets of twins.
Did you?
Huh?
You had 2
Identical?
sets of twins?
2 sets, yeah.
Wow.
Both are identical.
Oh my goodness. Were you
Wow.
shocked?
Pardon me?
Were you shocked?
I
I was
was
shocked.
shocked the second time, absolutely. Because the
Right.
first kid was identical, and identical, they say, is just a fluke.
Right.
of
It's
nature,
random.
right?
Fluke of
Right.
nature.
Yeah. And so I just wanted one more. We had 4, and I said, oh, let's just have one more. They're so cute. And we have 2 more. So
Wow.
I'm glad we got
Wow.
the 8-passenger vehicle.
Wow.
Yeah, that's something.
That's cool.
Oh, it's fun.
It is
Are
cool.
yours
It's very
identical,
cool.
Ellen?
No, I had boy, girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my boys, they're identical. They say those aren't real twins.
What? They're not the
I
identical
said to
ones?
the mothers they're real twins. They said,
Oh,
no.
you mean like my twin? Yeah, they're not
Right.
it's not like the cool twins,
Yeah, right. The identical.
You had the cool twins.
Yeah.
My twins don't even look like siblings. Like, yeah. at
They do
all.
not.
Yeah.
Could not be more different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
both of mine are completely identical.
Wow.
Crazy.
And are there really cool, like, what are some of the cool things you notice about? I mean, you must be quite
Okay,
a pro.
this
on the
is so
whole thing.
weird. So the girls are mirror image.
Okay,
So
tell me about
that's
that.
something you don't know that until they get older, until they're older. So one of the girls has an extra tooth, and right, you wouldn't know that until they have teeth. So one
Right.
has an extra tooth on this side, the other one had an extra tooth on this side.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Isn't that
wow.
weird?
One right-handed and the other one left-handed?
No, they're both right-handed. But
Okay.
the boys, the twin boys, have swirls on opposite sides of the head. We're not 100% sure that they're mirror image, but the girls certainly are. One has, so I'm half Filipino, half Ukrainian, and so we have that kind of the epicanthal fold in the eye. Some of my kids do, some don't. So my twin daughters, one has it on the right eye and not the left, and the other one has it opposite.
Wow.
Oh,
It's so
That's so
weird.
cool.
It's very funny, uncanny.
I think that's so interesting and
I do
neat.
too.
yeah.
But I tell you, they have the most fun when they're in college. The boys are,
Playing tricks.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
the boys are tennis players, and they're like, well, we don't want to go to practice every day, so we can just be one person,
Oh,
and no one would ever know.
I'm sure they wouldn't either.
I went to college with some twins that dressed alike every day. And I was like, everybody was like, ooh, it's a little creepy at that age.
I mean, I think they are so, their taste is probably so similar, you know? I mean,
It is.
they like what they like. And I mean, it wouldn't surprise me to see two identical twins who didn't share a room come out with the same clothing on, even though they hadn't planned it, right? Does that
In
happen?
fact, they did this. Pat, they were at a retreat in Indianapolis this weekend. They go to school in University of Illinois, but they were in Indianapolis, and they were in separate cabins. Well, during one of the large groups in the morning, they both came out wearing the exact same clothes.
Yeah.
They
See,
didn't even
I
plan
think
it.
that's, I
But they
think
didn't
that's,
plan it.
No,
They
it
didn't, they,
wasn't planned.
yeah. I mean, they didn't, these girls planned it. I mean, I was like, you know, let's both wear our red shirt today or our red dress today. And next to, I just thought, anyway, I have a friend though that's an identical twin. She's straight and her identical twin is gay. So, so it makes you wonder about, DNA and what goes on. But,
Because
and she's nothing like her sister, she said. She said some things were alike, but some things were very different. So like
and they're
she's very
definitely
organized
identical.
and very methodical, where her sister's kind of like whatever. And they're
yeah,
'Cause some-
identical.
Huh.
so different. Yeah, one of my daughters is a nurse, the other one's a teacher.
Okay.
So
Kind of similar, that
yeah,
well,
maybe.
one's more science, unless your teacher, the other daughter's a teacher of science.
Yeah, preschool, so very different.
Oh, preschool.
Yeah.
Okay, how cute. Yeah.
Ellen, are your twins? Is it Johnny and Elizabeth that are the twins?
It's Johnny and Katie that are the twins, but it's Johnny and Elizabeth
No.
that look alike.
Yes,
right.
Johnny and Elizabeth do look alike. I thought they were the twins.
No, Johnny and Katie.
Oh my gosh.
I know it.
Now,
Did your twins come? Were they the first
Excuse
ones?
me?
Were your twins the first ones?
No, they were my second pregnancy.
Okay. And
it,
you weren't worried about having twins again?
I wasn't. I wasn't. I mean, it would have been okay.
Yeah, it would have been fun still.
Yeah, it would have been okay. I mean, honestly, if I'd been younger when I married Bill, we would have had more children. He's such a great dad. So I had a second marriage.
Okay.
And my fourth child is with my second husband. And boy, that was a different experience, So I would have had, it would have just been, it was different. So yeah.
Wow.
now I found out that I had a half brother and he was adopted, and we made contact as adults. and my father was a carpenter and ran track. And don't you know that boy was a carpenter and ran track?
Wow.
You know, so I mean, it's interesting. We were kind of shocked. We were like, wow, you know, that some of these things are handed down, you know, or desires, or, you know.
It's cool.
Were you shocked? Or did you know that you were having twins, Ellen?
I knew that I was having twins when I found out at my regular 4-month sonogram.
Oh, so at 4 months, and did you about pass out? Oh, wow.
Fraternal twins definitely are the mom's issue, you know,
Yeah.
that's, but not identical, when
Yeah.
an egg splits
Two
or whatever.
eggs. Yeah.
Yeah.
2 eggs.
Right.
So for some reason at the end, this just seems a little more intuitive for me. Okay, so here I am at the end of my process. And I know that I need to do a camel one here. I could at this point just make another camel one right here. And then work the rest of these purple, or make another purple one right here. Like, no, that's not it. Hang on. Make another camel one. Okay, so that's my 2. And then work 2 purple.
Do you normally not catch your float that many stitches?
Normally I would have caught my float. Normally I would have caught it in the middle. I probably should go back and do that.
No one's watching. I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's no knitting
Actually,
related.
everyone's watching.
I mean,
And
it
it's
doesn't
being recorded.
Everyone's watching, sweetheart.
Well, we've all done it.
Don't do what
We
I
all
did.
do it.
Don't-
Right. Right.
Right. Normally I would have caught that kind of right here in one of the purple slots, but I didn't. So yeah, so see here, I caught it in the middle. I just didn't this time because I was so focused on my
Yeah.
end stitch. And I don't know why that seemed so much more straightforward for
I
me.
think it depends where you are in the pattern.
Yep.
Well, it's the same.
Going right to left.
Same on both sides.
I don't know. Okay, so that's how I did it at the end. I just did, and that kept me, I still have a nice, clean,
Right.
relatively speaking, clean salvage place where I can pick up. So, yeah. And I can see why Jody was saying it's cleaner and neater at the end than at the beginning. But all right, well, that is all I think that's all I can manage on this project tonight.
It's very beautiful.
Holy moly, guys, it's exhausting.
It is.
Yes.
Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you for guiding us through
Me,
this.
right? It's not just
No.
Ellen, I was ready to quit the first day. I mean, I started doing this and I was ready just to frog it.
really.
Well,
Yeah.
the ones that went so fast, so far.
I know. Right. I know. Because I just couldn't get a handle on purling.
Yeah, the purling
Oh.
and the catching the floats drives me a little crazy.
So
I
what-
watched a lot of
what-
videos.
What was the shift for you, Lena?
I just said, I'm going to just do it. I'm just going to do it because this was one of the patterns that I had marked in this book. One of the ones that I wanted to do, the first one. And there was no motivation for me to start it. And then I saw that you were doing this. So I
Yep.
thought, okay, this is a sign.
Yeah, I've never done any continental. I'm a thrower. I've never done any continental. And I decided I've got to do it. And to learn to do it knit and purl, it's been tough. But I listened to what you said, Ellen. It's like, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it.
I finally have the tension correct, and I'm
I'm not great at that.
I'm not knitting backwards like I thought I would. I did that with maybe 2 rows, and that drove me crazy. So I just decided to purl it continental, and I've managed to keep the tension. It took a long time, and I had to videotape myself doing it and rewatching catching the floats.
Right.
I gave up and I started doing the dropping and just doing it with one hand because I thought there's so many variables that I'm trying to learn here. I got to cut down.
Right.
I'll do that with a scarf later, doing both sides.
I think at some point playing with the opposite way, if you're a picker, you know, practicing the throwing, if you're a thrower, practicing the picking, just in a swatch, you know, just cast on some stitches and practice so that you get familiar with that is huge. And
Yeah.
I'm good with 2 colors, 2 hands, but this is a lot.
It is. I'm not a thrower, so I've had to learn that.
Yeah,
Really interesting. And
it's
I
a
find
lot.
it easier to catch the float with the throw than it is to catch the float with the pick.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just did a little short on catching the float, just regular, you know, catching the contrast color, so the left-hand color for me on the knit side. And I'll do another one for the other because it is so fiddly. But I gotta tell you, ladies, I am proud of us. I am proud of all of us for starting this, for sticking with this, for doing it. I mean, yay team, right? I think it's
Yes.
fabulous.
Well, thank
And
you for your encouragement.
I think the knitalong's been kind of good
Yeah.
for motivation and sharing. I mean, I think possibly without this, I don't know about you, I might be thinking, what is wrong with me?
I might think,
Why
what else can I do?
I would have given up. I would have given up for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely good to have other people that are, you know, straightforward and honest and say, yeah, this is hard. This is hard. Rather than, I don't know, somebody saying, oh, it's so easy. It's not. It's not easy.
Hard.
It's not hard at all. Is if you count every time and you do it properly and you don't have to rip
Right.
out 3 rows at a time and you don't drop a stitch and
Have you guys dropped down and pulled, like if you've seen a mistake, have you dropped down and pulled up the other
Yes.
color?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
That's
good.
hard.
I think that's
Fun.
just a little secret that you can do. And yeah, it makes your tension a little wonky, but guess what? It's stranded. Your tension is wonky anyway.
yeah.
Yes. And like you said, it's going to bloom a little bit. So
Right. And we're going to block it, and any egregious errors we are going to cover up with duplicate stitch, and no one will know.
only people with cataracts will be able to look at it for me.
I have a question, Ellen. Are you going to get these buttons that they recommend in the store for this, or
No.
we should? I was just hoping you would, so we could buy them from you.
I'm
Otherwise,
not.
they have them listed, I think, in England or something.
Right.
Oh, you can get buttons on, get the buttons on Etsy. They sent me
They're not
buttons.
as pretty as the ones in this book.
Oh, get the jewel buttons. Y'all will love
I'm going to
those.
use the jewel buttons for mine, but
What are you talking about, jewel buttons?
Yeah, what are you talking about? Oh, JUUL?
JUL, yeah.
Oh.
Laura Bellows, and she has the ones that you can sort of put in and take out and whatever. But she has these little mini ones I'm gonna have to get. So I'm getting those for the sweater that I did in the pure alpaca, because they sent me that sweater as a knit pack, right? So they send yarn store owners, if you're a flagship and you buy the whatever, they'll send you a box ahead of time with the yarn, the pattern, all the notions, you know, with the buttons and everything. So you can knit up a sample ahead of time. That's the one that I started when I was in France. And I don't like the buttons that they show, or I don't like the buttons that they sent. So I'm just going to use whatever. I'm going to buy beautiful buttons on Etsy. Etsy is the place to buy buttons, ladies.
And I'm a jewel button fan. I just
Well,
love jewel
Jill's buttons
buttons.
are beautiful, but they are limited, you know,
They
I
are
mean,
limited, but I hadn't
my-
found, they've got some, she's got some new ones that are really gorgeous.
yes, she does. She
I
has some,
saw them, yeah, on her website. Really
did you see
pretty.
the real small ones?
The small ones, and then the other, what are they called? They're
The
not
filigree,
Celtic,
the filigree?
maybe the filigree ones. They were a different name, and she had them in a couple of sizes. And then
I'll
the
have to
stick,
look.
yeah, look, because there's some new stuff on her website, and it's she wants people to try them out, and you can then vote on which one you like the best.
I could do in Austria the beautiful antler buttons.
Oh,
Yes.
that would be
That'd be
beautiful.
beautiful.
I'm teasing Sue because she's a woodworker. She turns and does beautiful
Amazing.
things.
Mm-hmm. I could make you buttons.
All of us?
No. I could probably
We'll
make
have to
buttons.
see.
The whole drilling of the holes is difficult once you get it. But actually, I could make a jig to do that. I could do that.
Well, you know what we could do is we could get a flat button and then you could put a shank on it.
Oh, you could do that too. Ooh, that would be pretty.
And that would be easier. You could put some kind of dealy bop on the
Yeah, I could do that. It's not hard to make them. Trying to make them all the same is difficult though.
Well, there's that. Yeah, there's that.
Yeah. So you know how hard it is to make all your stitches the same. Imagine working with a chunk of wood.
Yeah.
Not
You know,
flexible.
I will look on Etsy and see what I think. And if I find something that really speaks to me, in fact, I'm going to ask my friend Amy Soderberg. Many of you, some of you have met, maybe one of you, you've met Amy Soderberg, right, Sue?
Yes.
She is the queen of finding beautiful buttons, and you can't find them very many places. You know, places just don't stock buttons anymore.
Yeah.
And especially nice ones. I tell you something, you know what would be gorgeous? Those of you who are doing those purple combinations, the purple heartwood from Africa, if you could find some purple heartwood buttons, those are stunning.
Wow, I've never even heard of that.
It's
Oh
pretty.
yeah,
Very
I got a
pretty.
purple heartwood wine cork.
You got to be
That's
careful with some of that wood though, because if you don't finish it properly, it will bleed onto your
Whoa.
color.
right. But I'm just saying, ones that are done correctly, I've seen some absolutely, I mean, stunning, very rare woods.
Mm-hmm.